Growing up, we called it the Christmas house. It stood at the end of Pine Street, a towering Victorian masterpiece that only came alive during December. The rest of the year, it sat dark and empty, windows staring like vacant eyes across our small town. But every Christmas season, without fail, lights would appear in the windows, and the most spectacular holiday decorations would transform the aging structure into a winter wonderland. Nobody lived there. That's what made it strange. No one had seen anyone enter or leave in decades. Yet each year, the decorations appeared as if by magic. Twinkling lights strung along every eave, wreaths on every window, and an enormous Christmas tree visible through the bay window, decorated with antique ornaments that sparkled like captured stars. As kids, we made up stories about magical elves or Santa's secret workshop. The adults just shrugged it off as one of those things. Small towns have their mysteries, after all. But now I know the truth. I know because I broke in last Christmas Eve, and what I found inside that house still haunts my nightmares. I was 16 and stupid, armed with a smartphone and dreams of viral fame. The mystery of the Christmas house, solved. I could already see the YouTube views climbing. The lock on the back door was ancient, and the bobby pin trick I'd learned online worked first try. The door creaked open into a kitchen that smelled of gingerbread and pine needles. Everything was perfectly preserved, like a museum display of Christmas past. Garlands draped every doorway and vintage decorations covered every surface. The tree in the living room must have been 12 feet tall, dripping with ornaments that looked older than my grandparents. But something felt wrong. The lights seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. The ornaments turned to follow my movement, and the shadows weren't right at all. I heard singing coming from upstairs. Not carols exactly, but something older. The words weren't English or any language I recognized. They slithered into my ears like ice water. My feet carried me up the stairs before I could stop myself, drawn by that ancient melody. The master bedroom door stood open, revealing a scene from a twisted snow globe. The walls were covered in ice that grew in impossible patterns, forming images of faces frozen in terror. And gathered around a smaller Christmas tree were things. They looked like children at first glance, but their proportions were wrong. Their skin was too pale, their eyes too large and dark. They wore antique Christmas clothes, little Victorian suits and dresses, but the fabric seemed to move and writhe of its own accord. They turned to look at me, those not children, their smiles stretching far too wide. A new one. They chittered in voices like breaking icicles. It's been so long since we had a new one. I ran, or tried to. But the carpet beneath my feet had become snow, deep and clinging. The not children giggled, their laughter echoing like bells in a frozen cathedral. "Don't leave," they called. "Stay and celebrate with us, forever and ever." I felt small cold hands grabbing at my clothes, my hair. Their touch burned like frostbite. Through my panic, I finally understood what I was seeing. These weren't decorations that appeared each year, they were lures. And those weren't children, but something ancient that fed on wonder and innocence and the magic of Christmas belief. I remembered all the missing children posters I'd seen over the years. One or two each Christmas season, usually young ones who believed in Santa. The police always said they were runaways, but I knew now where they had gone. They were here, transformed into these terrible things that wore childhood like an ill-fitting mask. The last thing I saw as I tore free and ran was my reflection in a frozen window. For a moment my face looked different, paler, wrong, with eyes like dark ornaments and a smile that stretched too wide. I didn't stop running until I reached home. The Christmas house still stands at the end of Pine Street. It still decorates itself each December, though I notice now that the ornaments on the tree change slightly each year. New ones appear, always seeming to watch passers-by with familiar eyes. Sometimes, on quiet nights, you can hear singing ancient carols in forgotten tongues, sung by voices that sound almost like children. I never told anyone what I saw. Who would believe me? But every Christmas Eve I lock my doors and windows tight, no matter how sweetly the carols call. And when I see missing posters for wide-eyed believers who wandered too close to the Christmas house, I say a quiet prayer. Because I know where they are, dancing forever around that terrible tree with their new family, celebrating an endless Christmas that slowly steals away everything human inside them. Some mysteries should stay mysterious, some houses should stay empty, and some Christmas decorations, no matter how beautiful, are really just bait in a trap that's been catching children since Victorian times.